every one of us comes to the table with our own beliefs, our own biases, our own background. No matter what your race is, that has to be part of the practice. I'm a Black woman. I was a Black woman teacher at a school that served predominantly Black, African American, and Brown Latinx students. I realized my first year teaching that I had biases. I had to check my own biases and grapple with that and continue to understand the ways in which I was privileged that shifted my beliefs.
Welcome to the latest episode of Power of a Black Teacher. Our special guest today is none other than Miss Erin Harden, and we are spending our time today talking about college and career readiness and high achieving Black students.
My dissertation wanted to address two questions. How do high achieving Black students perceive their college readiness? And that was really heavily based off of their participation in advanced courses, as well as how do they perceive their college writing readiness. And so I was able to interview some college level students that identified as Black African American students, and they were high achieving. They were all enrolled in an honors college, and they were able to share their insights with me about their advanced course participation during their high school years, some of their writing experiences that they had as well. And then, from there, I connected it to the literature just to talk about what this means in terms of how we are supporting this group of students in particular. And when I became a classroom teacher, that's when my eyes were really open to the ways in which students needed to be better supported, especially students of color in particular. I worked at a school that served predominantly Black, African American, and Brown Latinx students. And I taught middle school, and it just...
My favorite grade.
You got to be a special... They used to say you're a special person to teach in middle school.
And actually like it.
And you know what? I liked it, but it was, the hormones, the teenagers, and just angst and all that was fun for a while sometimes. But one thing, like my first year of teaching, that really stood out to me was that my school was underperforming the first school that I taught at, and we were trying to, of course, like most schools, post No Child Left Behind. We're trying to improve our academic performance as a school. Our most of our staff was new, like 23 to 25 people had just been hired. My principal had come over from the elementary school across the street, so she was new to the middle school, but she knew a lot of the students because she was their elementary principal.
What about the same students from elementary school?
not the same. They grown up. Yeah, they got a little toot now. They're talking different. What happened that really triggered my passion for college readiness that connects to my dissertation? We were trying to motivate students for performing well, but we really didn't have a clear strategy. And what ended up happening was that we were rewarding students for making 70s and above. And for me, I grew up in an era where a 70 was a B, and I had a problem with that. Why are we, providing incentives for students who have a D average?
Lowering the standard, basically.
Yeah, and to me that was that's when I started thinking. At the time, I didn't know all this academic jargon about low expectations or any of that. I was just like, I'm not about to give you a reward for making a D. And if we're telling kids that the goal is just a D, what does that say about what we believe that these kids are capable of doing? And so that really laid the foundation for my interest in college readiness, because I realized if in middle school, our goal is to motivate kids to make a 70 average, which the 70 or 71% was considered for our state level test proficient. So that's why I understood like that was the cutoff. But for me, if you're in middle school and your goal, and you're being told by your teachers and being positively reinforced to make a 70, just hit a 70 at least, or 71%, then by college, what's going to happen?
Yeah, and I think that too, like when we speak about systems and systems in place that kind of that are like inequitable, or systems that are in place that prevent kids or serve as a barrier for kids, that is a system, that was a policy, that was a way, a structure of like grading and incentivizing kids that was in place that actually serves as a barrier for them being college and career ready. If, like you said, if we're lowering the standard, and that's they're not going to be college and career ready. But we now are operating in a structure that serves as a barrier for that. And I think, I'm glad you said that, because I think that's the structural piece of it that, a lot of people don't think about. It's not just something that we're doing, it's designed that way.
I think you can have a standard for college readiness, but it needs to encompass multiple factors. It can't just be, I've had a 4.0 GPA.
Right.
I scored 1,200 on the SAT. Yeah. And I'm going to pass college.
Being a first year college graduate, I didn't have a role model. I didn't have a way of knowing what it looks like. My mother wanted me to be successful in college. She wanted me to go to college, but it's not like I could, ask her questions and I could look for guidance. And it really was, in order to really graduate, I had to enact so many other skills that she kind of taught me, like, around timelines and, being diligent and being persistent. I felt prepared from my high school experience, but similar to you, I recognized a lot of my peers weren't prepared. And I thought that was interesting. Even as it relates to your parents, depending on what your family background is, that still doesn't guarantee that you will be successful, especially when it's so difficult to navigate college without, I would almost say without proper guidance and training and things like that. It is very, very difficult.
When I was doing my research, I had to kind of narrow down different categories and factors. So I looked at the role in particular of advanced courses, because I wanted to see, we generally know that advanced courses like AP courses, IB courses, etc., are geared toward preparing students academically for college. But generally, there are racial ethnicity gaps within course enrollment, course participation, and course completion for those courses. So students of color, especially Black students, my dissertation focused on Black African American students, are not enrolled or represented as much in these courses. And then when they are in these courses, the research has said that retention is an issue.
I really wanted to lean into the access to AP classes. A few years ago, I would say the pleasure, but it was also like an eye-opening experience. I've always had my school career kind of like in the K-8 realm, but I had an opportunity to do some school audits in a district in Ohio. We were, auditing like the high school, but it trickled down to like the elementary schools as well. And so one of the things that we noted in this school audit was the number of Black students participating in AP courses. And I'm like, how is this not obvious? Because as soon as you walk into the classroom, you recognize that there's a racial gap here. Really? Are you trying to tell me that only 2 Black students in the whole school are smart enough, and I don't even want to use the word smart, but capable enough to sit inside this classroom and learn? And then come to find out, there was also data from the elementary side that, that kind of highlighted that students were basically void of the opportunity to even participate based on courses that they were given in elementary school, or courses that they, were denied in elementary school. And that all had to do with like parent involvement and things like that. So it's like all of these, we recognize that, or we know the research says that advanced placement coursement is a contributing factor, right? But yet we have these systems and structures in place that actually prevent Black students from even given the opportunity to sit in the course. So Education Trust, they released a press release in 2020, and it did the elementary, middle school, and high school, and they said that in elementary school, Black students represented 16% of the overall enrollment, but only 9% of gifted and talented. I mean, only 9% of our kids are capable of being,
right.
In middle school, it was 15% of the 8th graders were Black, but only 10% represented the enrollment for Algebra 1. And then in high school, Black students make up 15% of high schools nationwide, but only 9% are enrolled in, AP classes. And if the research says that, well, number one, if we're concerned about kids being college and career ready, and this is what the research says, why do we continue to go against research?
Teachers' beliefs, thoughts, biases impact the way that we then instruct, support, motivate, encourage, recruit students for different opportunities. And so I'll speak as someone who in the classroom I had to grapple with parts of my identity. I'm a Black woman. I was a Black woman teacher at a school that served predominantly Black, African American, and Brown Latinx students. And I realized my first year teaching that I had biases. I had to check my own biases and grapple with that and continue to understand the ways in which I was privileged that shifted my beliefs about students. So most of the students at the schools I taught at were categorized as low socioeconomic status. I grew up with a higher socioeconomic status, not the highest, but somewhere around it. My mama would be mad. She's like, "Stop saying that," but no. As a Black African American woman, I've grown up really privileged in comparison to what the stereotypical norms have been expressed about people that look like me.
Yeah.
And because of that, I came into the classroom expecting those same things from my students. Because even if I look the same as you, that doesn't mean that I'm going to automatically be able to nurture you in the way. And it could be based on our different experiences. And I had to learn that. And so what I believe and hope for teachers in the professional learning that we are providing for teachers is that we continue to let them reflect and learn and continue to just self-educate on the ways that we can better serve all of our students, because every one of us comes to the table with our own beliefs, our own biases, our own background. No matter what your race is, that has to be part of the practice. And to me, research that I've read and courses that I've taken reiterates that it's not just a one-time reflection. Like I'm not just engaging in of learning for myself one time and then magically, okay, I treat everybody fairly. We all good. Yeah. I'm gonna sign you up for this course. No, I have to continue to learn. And so I think that's an implication for what we're doing here with our professional learning is like we're centering these high expectations in many ways. And we're also wanting to support teachers with continuing to reflect, engage, educate, and consider the ways that we're supporting all of our students.
Well, I think that is a good way to end the way we always end, which is if you were to describe the power of a Black teacher in 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
Perseverance, or persevering, rather, if I'm describing a teacher. Black teachers are persevering. They are nurturing, and they are they're cultivators.